Hey guys, it's Danny. Alrighty, today we're gonna work with one of my vandas. It was watering time and I discovered one of them could use a little bit of help. Now, commonly vandas are grown in hanging baskets, or in my case, plastic pots with additional aeration holes. It's a cool little trick if you don't have baskets or your vanda basket just crumbled away due to old age. Now, this poses a little bit of a problem when it comes to flower spikes. If you grow your vandas next to a window, the flower spikes that will be created will point towards that window, and sometimes they will lean so much they will start to touch the window or the curtain, and thus the flower spike and the buds are in danger of being damaged. And you can see on the screen right now that one of my Vanda orchids has reached that stage. Now, if I try to rotate my Vanda orchids, I discovered sometimes I can end up with some pretty weird looking flower spikes. The flower spikes will not necessarily straighten if you rotate the orchid. Sometimes they will grow, but they will suddenly change direction, and the end shape of the spike might be slightly contorted. Now, because in this setup we don't have any medium in the basket or in the pot, it's pretty hard to just insert a stake and train the flower spike. However, we can actually use a stake and try to improve a little bit the position of the flower spike, and that's what we shall attempt to do today with my beautiful Pachara Pink, which is announcing quite a great bloom show. And here's my little Vanda with quite the long flower spike. It's a little bit too late to do this and to try to shape the flower spike because it's already slightly rigid. But I will not try to shape it. I will just try to straighten it a little bit just so it doesn't touch the window. The reason why I don't want it to touch the window is because that is my southern exposure and sun always hits that window. Glass can heat up and it can seriously damage the very sensitive buds. So no matter how careful I might be in maneuvering this orchid, I cannot guarantee that the glass will not overheat. So being careful with maneuvering this orchid is not my issue. My issue is literally burning the buds. At this point, if I would rotate the orchid, the flower spike will just start to turn around basically, and the flower display will be all over the place. The flower might not open all in the same direction. I've had this happen in the past, and for the amount of time we wait for Vanda orchids to bloom, it's simply not worth to spoil the display. Therefore, I decided to try and stake this flower spike. Given that we don't have any potting medium, how will we do this? Rather than stabilizing a stake in the potting medium, I'm going to stabilize it to the actual axis of the orchid. Why would I want to do that and not stabilize it on the pot? Simple, because the pot is not tall enough and my spike can wobble. If I stabilize it on the stem, I have a longer distance and my stake will be much more stable. So for this project, I've chosen quite the elegant stake. It's just something that I had in my greenhouse. This is a plastic stake, which means you can definitely reuse it if you sterilize it, as opposed to the wooden or bamboo stakes, which I personally do not have the courage to reuse because it's really hard to sterilize wood. And transferring disease around from orchid to orchid is not something I really want to do. So I've sterilized my plastic elegant stake. So what I will do right now is I will go on this side because this is not a side that the flower spike turns to. So let's consider the back of the orchid. So I will insert the stake inside the pot, but it's not going to be stable. As you can see, all I want to do is make sure that I have enough length of the axis to pin to the stake, and I'm going to use some sort of floral wire for the moment. It's not my ultimate material. I really don't like this wire and I cannot properly pin anything to it. But because I don't have multiple hands, I need to use it for now just to make the stake stay. Now I'm gonna go get my material of choice, which is raffia tape. You can find raffia at any garden center. It is widely used in gardening. So I've pre-cut some threads, and what I will do is, as you might have guessed, start to pin the axis to my stake. Since the bottom is secured, I will start with the top. So I'll put the thread in between the leaves and I'll make a knot, not too tight, we don't want to damage anything, but enough to secure the stake. So now my stake is secured on the orchid. Now it's time to secure the flower spike to the stake. And this will be a little tricky. Luckily though, I have these little hooks on the flower stake, which I think will help me out. I will use yet again raffia tape and I will try to make the flower spike come closer to the stake. So I'll cut a bigger length of my raffia tape, which just got super sticky. The flower spikes of Vanda orchids are full of sap. So first, let's decide where I want my thread to be, and I think here is the best spot. And then let's see how much this flower spike wants to bend. I would not bend it more than this. So first of all, I will make a knot on the stake, and then through this knot I can adjust how much I want to bend this stake. And I think this is enough. I don't want to go more than this. Make a knot, and as you can see, I'm using this node of the Vanda orchid to maintain my thread in place. Vanda orchids do not produce branches. Also, this is not a bud node. The buds start from here. So even if I scrape or damage a little bit this node, that's okay. However, raffia tape is a really flexible and non-damaging material, reason why I like it so much. And before we finish this off, I want to do another thing. I want to pin this flower stake, the top of the flower stake, to my hook for some extra stability. And this really just keeps everything that much more straighter and away from my hot window. And this is the finished result. I am quite happy with how it turned out. The spike can definitely go more, but that's not what I want to do. I don't want to have a perfectly straight spike, and the more I try to arch it, the more I am at risk of breaking it. All I want to do is just keep it away from the window. This will do the trick. And in case this flower spike will start to extend yet again towards the window, I can put some more threads, because as you can see, my stake is way taller. I really hope it's not going to be the case, but we will see. Because orchids are their own individuals, we cannot really predict all that much what they're gonna do, but we can definitely adjust and customize things along the way. But for now, I think things are looking great, so let's put this orchid back in her place and see if the flower spike touches the window. And here we are. That's a lot better. I managed to arrange the flower spike in between two of the folds. The folds of my drape are not the issue, the window is. So right now I have about, wow, 15 centimeters or so to the window. So that's quite the adjustment, and I'm quite happy with how everything turned out. And by the way, if you want to try this out and you don't have this elegant flower stake, you can totally use a bamboo stake, a brand new one. And all you have to do if you want some anchoring points is just put a dot or multiple dots of hot glue, and there you go, that will act as a anchoring for the thread. So there we go, the Vanda crisis is over. And by the way, if you're interested in my setup for the Vandas, I will add down below in the description some links to some more videos which explain how I care for my Vandas. I also have in the description a link towards how to water Vandas in an apartment, or let's say somewhere where you cannot put a hose on them. And some more related link to Vandas if you want to learn more about them. If you're a beginner with Vandas, they are very rewarding plants, and yeah, they might not look very friendly for an apartment, but they actually are, with a few very minor adjustments. I'll also share with you the link to this stand that I have here where I keep most of my Vandas, and as you can see, well, you cannot see because many of my Vandas are soaking at the moment. I have quite the vast collection of Vandas, and I do so not necessarily in a proper greenhouse. This is a grow room. I have curtains on my windows, I have an AC, I have walls. I cannot put the hose on my Vandas, and still I can grow 20 or so Vandas without much hassle. So check down below if you want some ideas on how to grow Vandas in a home. So alrighty guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this. If you did, you know the drill. Leave this video a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. Subscribe to my channel for regular orchids and plants videos, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. And with that said, I'll see you all next time. Bye! Alrighty guys, time for a little spoiler. So at the end of this month there shall be my birthday. And it comes a time and an age where you really don't want to remember, because you start to think, what the heck did I do with my life? Why don't I have this and that at my age? You know, so no, I don't want to remember that. However, I do want to do another thing, just because I have that impression of, what did you do with your life, Danny? Oh my goodness. So therefore, I want to do more. Alrighty, so the spoiler is, you guys, I grew up with my grandma, and we had a tiny little garden, and we had a few vegetables there, but those vegetables and that little garden, oh my goodness, so tasty. I have a real issue with vegetables these days. So one of my things was to plant tomatoes, and one of my brother's things was to plant tomatoes, and he did it 2 years ago, you might remember, maybe not, I linked to his videos. Anyway, he had some really good hybrids and breeds, I don't know how you call them. They were absolutely tasty, and I told him, you know what, when I'm gonna have the possibility, I'm gonna ask you for seeds. And I know I don't have a garden, but I have a whole roof at my disposal and a whole sun at my disposal, and I'm really thinking about it. I want to start a container garden with, of course, vegetables, but not only, ornamentals as well. I already thought it up and I'm already planning it, and I will start a second channel with it because it's not okay to put other types of videos on an already established channel. So my channel is with orchids, it will remain with orchids. So yeah, I don't want to pollute this channel, but I will make a second channel. Hopefully I'm gonna open it for my birthday. I don't really think so, I don't know. And I'm gonna start posting there the journey with container gardening. Of course I will film it. It's not gonna be a channel where I will post daily or anything because it's not the main channel and I cannot humanly do it. I don't have a team to edit my videos, I edit them myself. My boyfriend is at work all day, I have to film, I have to do everything. So right now I cannot post very often, but maybe one video per week I wanna post, and I wanna like document the journey. So we're gonna start a gardening channel. I'm also gonna do videos with ornamentals. I've always wanted to have my own tulips, and I bought black tulips. It's the season now, you're supposed to plant them, and all the flower shops here have bulbs of everything, and I'm just so and they're so cheap. It's like 20 cents a bulb. You know, I want some bulbs. I want to start doing this. So yeah, let me know down below, are you guys interested in a second channel and all of those things, because you know what, container gardening means you can have at least one good tomato on your balcony, and that's what it means. And it's not that hard. We did it before, many years ago. It's not hard to grow them in containers. So alrighty, let's end this here. Yeah, that's what I plan to do. We'll see. I'm not sure if I can start it for my birthday. It's like I'm planning it right now. But yeah, I hope I can.